Hi everybody, my name's Brianna Janes. I'm the founder of Breaking Chains, that was formed to spread awareness about addiction and everything in between. So, today I brought online my mom, who
Hello.
has suffered the ultimate secondhand experience of addiction. And she has definitely gotten to be gifted with the full love and, all of it. She's gotten all of it. She's gotten every horrible, traumatic issue you can get from somebody else having an addiction.
Yes.
So I'm just going to give you a little background here. So me and my sister at one point were both terrible heroin addicts that started off, slow and worked our way up. We were liars. We never really talked about it. We didn't go into full detail about it, and we used to basically lie to her constantly because that was the easiest way for us to get what we wanted. And we were spoiled kids, so as we got older, we used this to our advantage to continue using. And my mom has never done any drugs. She hasn't even really smoked pot. I mean, I put pot in a cigarette of hers once. That was really mean of me, but I was like 16 and she put it out as soon as she realized what was wrong with it. But
I didn't really know. You never really told me.
Anyways,
I
but
just knew it was odd.
but end of the story is like she was very innocent and had no clue as to what addiction was and what she was getting into as far as her children. So this is something that people do not like to talk about. They don't like to acknowledge it. And a lot of parents, they have children that walk into addiction and they like to go, oh, my child is not an addict. They like to put it off. They like to say that their kid doesn't have a problem. They constantly defend their child. They hand them money. They enable them. They make the problem worse. And in the end, those parents, some of them do lose their kids, and that is when they decide that they understand addiction or they want to. And this is something that's really sad because I've seen this a lot. And the same parent that was writing on topics.com about what a scumbag Mr. So-and-so down the road is for being caught with drugs also has the child that is battling the same addiction, but it's different because it's their child. So just be open-minded and do not, take the people in your life with discretion. Nobody is the same. Everybody's different, and nobody is immune to this.
No,
So
it does not discriminate. As far as my children, they were very good in school. They were in a number of organizations. I stayed at home.
speak louder.
I never said anything negative. I was always trying to keep their self-esteem very positive. It is, and it was, one of the worst shocks I've ever had in my life that either one of my children were on drugs at all. So, looking at that, and then especially heroin, which came around later, I didn't even know that. And I knew nothing about it. Nothing at all. So, when they are maneuvering around me, it was very simple to do because I'm listening to them. They're telling me, looking me in the eye, telling me everything's fine. It's for this, it's for that, it's for this, it's for that. And I'm honestly thinking that this is the truth. Now, I had a friend who tried to tell me when it became more obvious that there was an issue, that you have to take, as a parent, everything you've learned.
I just woke up.
Anything that you have learned, who you are as a parent, and turn it completely around. You can't give them anything. You can't coddle them. Well, okay. You can't, but yet, as a parent, may I say, in defense of all parents that are in this position, this is very hard. You don't know what's true and what's false 90% of the time, if not 100.
True.
And
your kid's probably lying to you a lot.
Your kid is lying to you, saying, Mom, I'm hungry. I have nothing to eat. Mom, I'm on the street, like with Brianna when she went to the rehab and she went to Florida. And I'm getting calls and she's saying to me, I'm in trouble, we don't have any money. I'm on the street. You don't even know the fear that went through me. I'm thinking my child is going to die. So, and one did,
Yeah. Well,
that's the reality.
Let me just
this.
interrupt you for 1 second because this is an interview.
Sorry.
So I want to just start by kind of asking you, when is it that it became evident that you had children that had an addiction issue? When is it that you started to see a pattern or a change that you knew something was off? Like, when was it that that first initial symptom showed up to you and became prominent? The first one.
Okay, to be honest with you, I was kind of naive. If I look back, I can see things, but at the time, I did not. I think you were selling one of those games that we had. It was my first indication that it was a Sims game, and she really liked it. And I thought, what is she selling now? Well, that makes no sense. That was just something that kind of, that's a little odd, you know. But I think with you, maybe not coming home as early as you normally do.
Yeah.
You know, kind of being insensitive to other people in the family. Oh, I'm taking the car. Too bad about you. And then coming
like
back
that
later.
anyways.
That kind of thing. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, her boyfriend, you know, he must not be very nice that she's running around picking him up and chasing around. And I think that at that point, I wasn't sure, like, is her boyfriend dominating or is there something else? So, at that point, I can only say that was the only indication I had. Obviously, the indication became clearer when I think somebody found a needle.
Probably.
Yeah.
We definitely, you know, when you're finding hypodermic needles, that is a sure sign that something is
Something
wrong.
now has gone and escalated into something else. And I looked at it and I said, well, whose is this? And you said it was your boyfriend's.
Probably.
You know, and I'm like, and you know, I don't know. I know nothing. But
Yeah.
I knew that that was like my worst nightmare come true, other than having one die.
Yeah, and
I don't
mean,
want anybody to go through that.
what a good thing to talk about with your parents when you reach recovery is the things that show that you're using so that they know in the future, because the best thing you could do to save your own life is to talk to your loved ones about signs that you're using again, because these signs might save your life in the end. So when you tell your mom, like, you know, your mom says, well, you don't come home as early when you're using. It might just be that hour difference of you coming home, but that hour difference might be you traveling to the person that has heroin and getting it and coming home late. So you might not be showing any other signs, but it could just be that hour. Or say you are sleeping in longer, you're not as interested in things that you used to love to do. You aren't able to, you're either working more in order to get more money, or you're working less because you're unable to. You're losing jobs. You're unwilling to cooperate with people as much as you used to be. You're unwilling to, you know, you lie more. You're unwilling to explain yourself. You get defensive. There's some big signs that somebody is going through active addiction that may not be as evident to somebody who doesn't know them. So if you see signs in your child that their personality is changing, and it might just be little tweaking signs, that is usually a sign that they've found themselves in the predicament of drug use. And they might not really know it's an issue. So it could just be that they're smoking pot every day. And I'm not going to tell you pot's wrong, because I'm not against pot. But what I'm saying is that in that moment, that pot might lead to something else. And say that you want to be aware of what your child is doing at all times, just for that sheer fact. So if you have a 16-year-old child and they're smoking, and you know, you really don't know what else they're doing. They have friends at school that are using, I guarantee it. They have, you know, people around them that may be offering them things that you don't know about. So if you're in that predicament, don't feel bad for snooping. You know, if you really need to call the school, get some information, because you know, something as small as coming home an hour late could save their life when you finally face what's actually going on. So that's a big thing for me.
In defense, you know, you don't want to be paranoid. And it's hard as a parent to really know when you are just really being overbearing.
So I might get another call in a second, because my boyfriend's calling and he likes to call 9 more times after he calls once. So if it freezes, just stay on. We'll keep going. Just letting you know. But what is tell me trying to think of some good questions here that people want to know. So, what did you personally do when you realized that both your kids were using? Like, what were the steps that you personally tried to take to maybe help that or help us get better, and how did that work out for you?
Well, the first thing I thought of is both of you need to be in rehabilitation.
Louder.
Rehab. And I tried very hard to get them both into rehab. They were very willing. You know,
We were always willing until we had to go.
No, but you were willing in different, senses. Like there was moments, and you'll sense these moments, like somebody's willing to do something about it. Like maybe they're really down or something's going on. But I remember feeling very, very good about the fact that they both were willing to go into rehabilitation. Now, when I went into this and this, trying to search for rehabs, I had a very difficult time. Our insurance did not pay for, oh my gosh, most of them. And the other ones were difficult to get into. They had waiting lists, they had et cetera, et cetera. It just went on and on. I remember going to ECMC and with Whitney, and they said to her, no, you aren't severe enough yet.
Yeah, it's not bad enough.
It's not bad enough yet.
They don't take people that have just heroin addictions, and I find this to be absolutely disgusting because they feel that if you aren't going to die from the withdrawals, that you're not an immediate threat to your life. Well, the truth is, you are an immediate threat because the person that's on benzodiazepines, yes, if they come off their drugs, they could pass away. But the person that's drinking, yes, if they come off alcohol, they could pass away. But the truth is, the person that's shooting heroin has a higher chance of dying over both of those people. So to turn somebody away and say, no, you're not severe enough, what happens is these kids go out and they end up taking like Xanax or something of that sort so they can get in. They drink, and then finally they get in it. Sometimes they don't even get in. And the crazy thing is, ECMC turned my sister away, and they also did her autopsy. Think about that. So.
I know. And that's sad to me that there aren't enough resources out there for these kids that are addicted, don't know how to get out of that cycle, which is unreal. I think if anyone knew what they were entering into, which I don't think either one of my children really knew. There wasn't much to even have, for them to have made an informed decision, because I certainly didn't know anything. And here they are in this, and how do you get out of it? How do you get help? And there's a lot of roadblocks along the way.
Many roadblocks.
Yes, I mean, it's really difficult, and you're feeling like you're fighting for their lives, and you are. Yeah. And all I can say to anyone about drugs, especially heroin, I call it the devil drug. And the reason I call it that is because it apparently, based on what I have heard, gives you this euphoric feeling like you've never felt before. Okay, the trade-off is your life.
Louder.
And that's not a trade-off. That's nothing to bargain with. You are bargaining with something that will kill you. And if it doesn't, it will completely destroy your life and everyone else's around you. And then ultimately, in the end, you will probably die.
Yeah, heroin is the one drug that will literally strip you of everything you've ever owned, everything you've ever loved. And once all your loved ones have cut you off, all the people that you loved have left you, they don't want to be with you, your children have been taken away, you will be left, you will become homeless. Eventually, if you do reach that point, you will possibly die. And then that is what heroin does. It basically says, I am your ultimate authority. I am the only thing that you will ever have. Heroin is possessive.
Very, very control orientated.
It is.
It will control everything in your life. And if you don't want to be controlled by everything in your life, if you want to have a life,
or have control of your life,
and have control of your life, which is a beautiful thing. I think a lot of kids that are younger, they get wrapped up in things that make them very depressed. You're young. It'll pass. It'll get better. You are in charge of your own future, your own thoughts. you know, but don't turn to something that absolutely does not care about you
It doesn't.
at all.
It doesn't care about you.
It'll kill you.
And the people that are putting it out there, they don't care about you either.
Because they're probably on it, or they're making money from it.
I'm letting you know that, no, we're not even talking about the dealers. We're talking about the people that are guarding it in other countries, letting it come into your country.
Yeah, that's bad.
Half of your drugs are coming into this country with knowledge that it's coming in without anybody fighting it. And that's why I say at the end of the day, you are your own advocate, you are your own savior, and when you pray to a higher power, whatever is your faith, that is what you need to do to get clean, because heroin can no longer be your faith. I know that at one point heroin was my best friend. I know that. Hi, Tyler. Tyler said, love you all. I hope you're doing okay, Jody. I'll watch this later. Unfortunately, I gotta go right now. So
okay. Hi, Tyler. Yes, I'm doing okay. Today, tomorrow might be a different day.
The scariest thing about it is like you become so insane that eventually you really think that all you have is heroin. It turns you against everyone else. You believe that the world around you is a sick place. You see in black and white. The people that you loved, you no longer love anymore because you feel like they have become your enemies. Everything,
because they're asking you to quit.
Yes, and everything that you need, but yet you need their money and you need their resources for you to be able to get what you need, and you will literally suck them dry of everything that they have as well, until it comes to you and you are the only thing left, and all they have left is your body, which they will then take. And by the end of the day, who knows, they may take your son or your daughter's life after they take yours. And that's the crazy thing, is it just goes and it goes and it goes.
As a cycle that you need to be aware of. And I have to say that for any kids that think that their parents are not going to go through something, guys, when your child dies, there's a part of you that dies with them. And for any parent, please, I don't want you ever to go through what I've gone through.
My last question, well, I have two more. What was the craziest thing that you saw me or my sister do that really made you think, what the hell is wrong with these kids?
Fighting over money, I think, is all of a sudden you're fighting over like some little pittance I have.
I'll still fight somebody for some money. What's up?
mean, I know, but it was just irrational, just totally irrational.
Just kidding.
Like you've got $30 and you're getting ready to go to the store and you guys are like fighting over the $30.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? What do you need so badly that you would act like this?
God, I feel like there's so much crazier than that.
Well, they're probably, you got to realize the time that you were running around to Pittsburgh was...
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a good story. We end up in Pittsburgh. The car ends up towed in a lot. We end up in a house that got raided by the police that I had no clue who the owner of the house was. I thought I was getting picked up and put into a prostitution ring, so I would not open the door. The cops kicked down the door of this place that I am only there because I had gone with my sister and her friend to a place that I had no clue of where I was really going. I was told that I was going to make money off this gesture. And when I got there, I was told to stay there and not leave. Well, as soon as I hear knocks on the door, I'm immediately getting scared, thinking that I'm going to get picked up. And somebody has said that there are 3 young women here that are under the age of 19. And I begin telling my sister, lock yourself in the back room, shut the door. The safe word is pineapple. If I don't say pineapple, please do not come out. So she puts a chair in front of the door. Her friend stuffs all the things and paraphernalia in her purse, something of that sort. I am on the phone. I call my friend. I say, listen, there's somebody at the door. They're not saying who they are, and I'm worried that I'm about to get kidnapped. And he says, well, go under the bed and get a taser from under the bed. Well, that's what I did. So I crawl under the bed. There's this little pink taser. I grab it, and I go up to the door. And as I'm walking up to the door, 5 cops kick the door down and throw me on the floor and say, put your hands up, blah, 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 blah. Now me, I am 19 years old on the floor wondering what I did wrong to have 5 cops looking at me and telling me they could shoot with their guns pointed to my face. My sister has locked herself in the back room and she is scared and still will not open it for the cops, even though it's clearly the cops and I'm telling her to open the door and I forgot the safe word. So then apparently somebody had lived there previously 6 months prior who had been stealing cars, and it was not the same person that was now living there. And in an attempt to raid the house, I had been the only one present in the house. So this was a very scary situation. The cops ended up towing my car because they knew that I was an addict, and I don't want to say they found it funny, but I told them that I didn't drive when eventually it came down to us sitting and talking. They were very nice. They said they were not going to call the police. They were not going to hurt me. They were not going to do anything. They just wanted me to know that they wanted me to get better, as well as my sister and her friend. They took down our parents' numbers. They said, we're sorry for throwing you on the floor and blah, 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 but they had to do that. And in the end, they let me go. They let everybody go, and they did tow the car, though. It was kind of like a different intention. Like, they thought it was kind of funny because I had lied and said I didn't drive to Pittsburgh.
And you had a lot of, stories you were telling me that were just ridiculous. But, you could get in these type of things.
Those ridiculous stories are real sometimes.
They were, but I'm saying that you were kind of like throwing it off. You and Whitney were throwing it off that you kind of got into this.
Yeah.
You were taking a friend.
We knew what we were doing.
Right, and that you got into this mess and you don't even know how you got in, and then you were lucky to get out. So, that was unfortunately my perspective.
Now,
but
what were the signs? Sorry to cut you off. You can wait a second.
Okay.
What are the signs that showed that Whitney may have possibly been going downhill this last time? Because this is something that I would say that I saw many signs, and she would say she didn't see any. So this is like something where you can't be blind to this. And I know you want to support your kids that are in recovery, but they're not going to stay in recovery forever sometimes. Relapse happens, and you have to be open to the idea that relapse does happen. So if you are not open to it, then you can be blindsided by these symptoms that are showing.
I can't say that I was very aware.
She took your car for 3 months.
She did, but that wasn't necessarily a sign. That was her wanting to go down to see her boyfriend, and no one else was going to take her, and so I didn't see that as so terribly unusual. And quite frankly, I don't think anything was going on during that particular time.
There was some things going on.
Well, there could have been, but see, I'm not aware of those. I wasn't there. I don't know. When I'm talking to her, hey, she sounds good. She's going to get she actually got her certificate to be a recovery coach. I was very impressed with that. I'm like, go, girl, go, because I wanted her and Brianna to move outside of the situation, in a more positive direction. Go get your education, go get what you need to get. Find your purpose so you can move on. And she looked like she was doing that. And she was talking to me. She was very calm. Yeah, she was.
That day.
Oh, no.
Prior, she was not calm.
She wasn't bad at all. And then I remember trying to figure out some things with insurance and trying to get some things straightened out for her. And we had been doing all these things. So basically, I didn't see much of anything. Her weight was good. I didn't see it dropping like I had seen previously with the two of them when they were on drugs, but I didn't exactly know why. And so I'm looking at it, and her skin looks great, her hair looks great. She did actually. She looked great.
She went up to my mom and she said, look, Mom, I'm not doing any drugs, and showed her arms, and she said, take a look. Well, she was shooting in a different place.
But I didn't even know you could shoot in a different place, and she knew that.
Well,
they capitalize on the idea that it doesn't take much to con Mom. But you have to understand that when she had gone to court, they had said, you're free, go on, go do what you gotta do. She was the happiest I ever saw her.
She was very happy to be off probation.
And she was, and they were so proud of her, and she said to the judge, all I want to do is thank you for saving my life.
Ironic.
And she comes out, and we're in the car, and I said, Whitney, I'm trusting you. I'm trusting you with all my heart. Please tell me everything's going to be all right. Please tell me you're not going to go and do something stupid, like do heroin or any other drugs. She said, Mom, I would never do that. I'm going to go on with my life. Shows me your arms. She said, look how clean they are. There's no marks. And I was so happy. I was just so relieved. And this is what can happen, because then I had to go somewhere, and she kind of maneuvers around me and says, Mom, I gotta go to the store for just a few minutes. I think her boyfriend's coming in 45 minutes.
So
I left.
Yeah.
And she took the car, went to Buffalo, and the next thing I knew is I have a call.
Louder.
You know, I have the police
Yeah.
come by my door telling me that my daughter has died. My baby.
They can't hear you. But...
You know, so I just don't know what to say. You know, sometimes you just don't even know how to fathom that. I'm thinking she's doing great and she has passed away.
Right. You know, one second your kids just graduated drug court or they've gotten off probation. And this is a thing that happens all the time. People get off the court system and they die. People get out of rehab, they die. People get out of jail, they die because they do not have a tolerance for drugs and now they know they can use. And this is really scary
Right.
because if you do not spend enough time away from drugs, you will have that urge to still do them. That craving is not just going to go away. And people, you know, that have lucky to had it just go away, that's awesome. But for a lot of people, it doesn't. So when they're free to make their own choices, they make the wrong one. And I think signs that I saw with my sister, she actually was very agitated. She was not herself. She was calling and asking for money a lot. I heard her over the voicemail saying, hello, 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 I need money.
That was the day before.
The only messages I had over the last 2 months were asking for money. She had called and asked my grandma for money and said she needed it for food, this and that, and I constantly...
She wasn't being aggressive.
She was actually kind of aggressive.
You
At one
know,
point, me
so-
and my grandma did think she was aggressive, and we did
But
both.
I wasn't getting it.
No, not to you, because she wasn't mean to you. But we also saw the side that was going back to her old self. So she had, that day she had taken off, and I remember she wasn't there, and I remember as soon as I noticed she was gone, I knew she was dead. I mean, and it's so crazy because I knew her intentions. She had been messing up, but not to the extent of heroin. It was like she was taking mass amounts of gabapentin, and she was saying it was for her anxiety and that she was so upset and she was so scared, and she had put on a lot of weight because it causes water weight gain, and she didn't feel good about herself. She was having extreme depression. She was constantly saying that she was depressed and she didn't know if she could live, she could get through this. She was talking about how her and her boyfriend, you know, they weren't moving forward, and she loved him with all her heart, and I know she loved him. She loved him more than she loved anybody. But you know what? She was stuck in Olean, and this really bothered her. And every time she would try to get a job, she would feel like she was in a position where she couldn't work. She would feel like somebody was against her. She would tell herself in her own sick mind that she couldn't do it. And this was something that really, really hurt her, is that her own self-confidence almost killed her. Because every time she tried to do something, if there was any blockage, anything in her way, she just gave up. And this was literally something that you have to understand. You cannot just give up every time
you can't.
something doesn't go your way, because as an addict you are going to feel like you are just going to give up if something doesn't go your way, because we want everything to be our way. And I hate to say it, but in life you're going to run into a lot of things that aren't your way. Like when I got told, Tracy, I'll call you in a second, when I got told that I couldn't work because I had you know, my license, my legal issues at one point, immediately I had to show the state, and I was mad, and I said, screw it, I'm not going to do this. And I remember I immediately had... All right, I'm almost done.
I know,
all right, but yeah, anyways, end of story. So yeah, if you know, if you might not see the signs, but somebody else might, talk with somebody about what's going on. Talk with somebody about finding the signs and the symptoms of what, you know, addiction, because if you have somebody you love, maybe you don't see it, but maybe they do, and listen to them. If somebody's telling you they think they're using, don't blow it off, because it can end the way my sister did. And you know, regardless, she probably was going to die, and I really don't know what kind of life she would have lived had she lived. But keep an open mind. And
I asked her a lot, because you
can't
did say
asking
things.
an addict. I did. I constantly told my mom that things were off, and I knew
and
it, but she didn't. So
I also wanted to be fair, and because I was talking to Whitney, and Whitney was telling me that no, things are going good, you know, there's all this drug testing going on. Come on, Mom, you're just being totally paranoid.
By the way, people use fake drug tests.
But you know, I mean, there's just,
this is something
there
a
are
mom wouldn't
ways
know,
that blow my
you know.
mind. People are very resourceful on drugs, I have to say. but I have got to go.
All right.
And love to you all.
Thank you so much
You
for
know,
watching.
honestly.
If you have any more
Get help if
questions
you need
or
it.
concerned, please contact us. Thank you.